Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new series on our channel. We are starting a new mod pack. It is based on this survival island. You can see before us, there's going to be some pretty harsh conditions for us to survive in. And the mod pack is called Create Stranded at Sea. And it is specifically designed to have create at its center so that we can create some massive factories to produce the things that we need. There's also some robust economy systems added in so that we can do trading to access the things that we can't get on the survival island. There's a bunch of mods added to make the difficulty a little bit harder. Some things we have to overcome trying to survive lost at sea on this survival island. I hope that you guys enjoy the series. We're going to get started right now. Well, it looks like we survived the storm. Doesn't look like our ship is doing so well, though. Took on a lot of water, a lot of damage. Probably going to need to do some massive repairs before we can be seaworthy again. But at least we made it. We're here on what looks like a deserted island. Right on the outskirts, there's some little islands around. We're going to need to get right on trying to get ourselves ready to handle harsh environments here. This mod pack is called Create Stranded at Sea, and there's some added mechanics as far as difficulty with thirst and with air being thinner at different depths and elevations, as well as some changes to the way torches work that we're going to need to address pretty quickly because day one has just dawned and we don't have long before we have phantoms coming and we have mobs spawning. So we're going to get right into it, and we're going to first just go around and try to explore this island. I don't have any tools. I want to grab a couple of blocks that I could find. And see if I can't scale up the side of this cliff face. Somehow. Dirt here should help us. Just want to get to the top of this small island that I'm on so I can see. Looks like the island goes quite a ways. There's some water up here. Oh, thankfully there's some trees, plants. A couple different types of trees, which is good. Oh, there's a break in this island before we get to the main island. Oh, I can see a cave up there. I think that's a cave. That might be useful for us to get some more resources if we can get up there. I do see a bunch of ores that are around nearby. Some iron. Looks like some more over there. Some other ones that are sticking out in the water. And thankfully there's a large amount of andesite right here in this cliff face. Andesite is the building block for Create, what we're going to be using to build a lot of things in this playthrough. So first things first, I'm just going to collect some wood, and I'm going to get some basic tools set up, and I'm going to start addressing the immediate concerns first, which is getting us to the point where we have a bed and we have the ability to make some torches. And when we get to that, I'll show you the problems we're going to face with torches. But first things first, let's just get some wood and we'll get our tools set up. Got a few basic resources together, and we're cooking up some iron that we got. And I want to show you the path that we're going to be taking. Get rid of some of these things. So we are going to be needing to get string to make wool because we don't have wool at this stage of the game. So to get string, what we can do is we can get flax. The other option is cattail fluffs. We don't have those. And So we need to get flax. The only way for us to get flax seeds is for us to use create. So flax seeds come from two different things. They can either come from the flax themselves, or if we take seaweed or seagrass and send it through a millstone, we get wheat seeds and we get flax seeds. Both of those would be good for us because we can plant the wheat seeds to get an early food source, and we can plant the flax seeds to grow some flax. Once we have the flax, we can run it through the millstone again. We'll get more seeds. We'll also get string and a chance to get extra string. So our focus is on two things: collecting a large amount of seagrass to get started, and making a millstone. So millstone is a create block that is really easy to make. All it requires is a cogwheel, an andesite casing, and stone. The andesite casing just takes andesite alloy, which is andesite mixed with iron nugget. So the iron that we cooked up here, we're going to do two things with. One, we're going to make a pair of shears because we want to go and collect some seagrass. We'll do that in just a minute. And then we'll take the rest of this and we're going to turn it into iron nugget. And we're going to use that with some of this andesite that we have collected to make some andesite alloy. Andesite alloy makes a couple of things. We want shafts, and then we combine the shaft with a plank to make a cogwheel. And if we want to make a andesite casing, what we have to do is strip a log, and then we take one andesite alloy, we right click on it, and we can make our casing. So with those things in hand, we should be able to make a millstone just like this. Now, in order to make the millstone work, we need a crank. So if we go to create and we look at a crank, there's a couple of different cranks. First one is like this, so we can just craft one. That's the hand crank. And for this particular thing, we're going to make a cog crank. Cog crank is basically combining a cogwheel with a crank. And so what you could do is put down your millstone, and then you put down your cogwheel next to it, which means that it works, and we could put a crank on the top of it, and that'll connect to it. But because we want to have it just a little more fancy than that, we're going to use this to create a cog crank. Cog crank is set right where the cog goes, and the crank is built into it, and now we can power our millstone. As far as getting the seagrass, we're going to head down back where we came up here, over on this side. And I noticed when we were looking around, there's quite a bit of seagrass growing underneath where our ship wrecked. So we're just going to come down here and collect as much as we can really quickly. It's good that we have some that's close, because we have problems with thirst and oxygen in this pack, which makes it much more difficult to do strenuous tasks. So we're just going to grab as much as we can right here from the close rocks that are under here, and if we have to get more, we'll have to go down to the ocean floor. It's a little more difficult because not only is it hard for us to get there, but this water is filled with poisonous jellyfish, sharks, and other animals that do not want us to do well here. So we're just going to grab this real quick, and then I'm going to head back up, and we're going to take the seagrass, and we're going to do what we can to get as much out of it as we can pretty quickly. So grab all this seagrass. Make sure we didn't leave any behind, because we want to get as much as possible, get a really good start here. Take some of it, drift it away. And then over here we'll do the same. We'll grab all the pieces that we cut. Some of them are drifting into our ship. I believe we got most of it. And then we'll have to work our way back up again, because we haven't made a path yet. But we should be okay to get around up here and work our way back to our millstone. So here we go. We have our seagrass. What we're going to do is we're just going to throw it inside, and then we're going to use our brute strength just to run the millstone. And after a little bit, we can look in and see. You can see we got 1 flaxseed so far, and we have 61 seagrass left. So each time we grind one through, there's a chance it'll give us a flaxseed. There's a chance it'll give us a wheat seed, but it's not guaranteed for either one. I believe that if we look at seagrass, the chances are, let's see, seagrass with a millstone, we have a 20% chance of getting it from there, and we have a 10% chance of getting flax seeds every time we run it through. So we're not going to get a ton of them, but they will grow. Our flax seed during this season, which is spring, is going to grow normally, and our wheat's going to grow slower. But right now we don't have very many options, so we're just going to grow as much as we can. So I'm going to process a couple more of these so that we can get another seed. Looks like we got 1 wheat seed, what we wanted. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take some of this dirt that I have. I'm actually going to just place it up here on this level for now, because we don't have a bucket yet, and we'll just get some of these growing early on here. So we're going to use some sticks and some stone to make a hoe. And then we'll get our crops planted as quick as we can. So let's put down flax seed there, and we'll put down a wheat seed here, just so that we can get them growing at least a little bit. The next thing we need to worry about is collecting what we need for torches. So there's not a lot of coal around, and so what we're going to do is we're going to use the wood we have to make some charcoal. And I'm going to grab this piece of coal here just to demonstrate. One of the difficulties we're going to have with torches is that we have the hardcore torches mod. So when we crafted torches, we got lit torches instead of torches. So in the hardcore torches mod, we have lit torches and then unlit torches. Torches will slowly go out, and then we'll have to break them. We'll get a stick back, and we'll have to replace the coal to put down new torches. The smoldering torches and burnt torches are because when it rains, our torches will get put out by the rain, and then when the torch is completely used up, it is a burnt torch. We can make lanterns, but just like the torches, these are lit and unlit, and that's because they require us to provide lantern oil, which can be crafted by using the oil can. It says we can use charcoal, but I don't know that this works in this pack. We can do it with animal fat when we get to producing animals, though. And we also have a fire starter that we can make with string once we collect some string that we can use to set fire in areas around, which will be good. It's like an early game version of the flint and steel, but it is not a guaranteed setup. It has a chance to make fires for us, and it does have a chance to fail. So we're a little hard with early game, trying to get to the point where we can produce fire and light, but we'll have to just deal with what we have until we get some better technology. For now, I'm going to head back over here. I'm going to harvest the rest of this tree over here, and we will continue to try to grow some crops until we have enough that we can actually get started on making some of the resources that we need. And like I said, we're in a hurry because we want to make sure we can get a bed set up before we have phantoms to deal with. The next step that we need to face is that we can't continue to run this hand crank like we are, because we are nearly out of food. Well, we are out of food, but we're nearly out of hunger, which means that if we continue to run this, we use up our hunger, and it makes it so that we have to eat or we'll take damage. And the bar above it is our new thirst bar, which is basically the same thing, only it is based on thirst. So to address the thirst bar, we're going to look to our quest book. There's some explanations of what to do here. It says it's very similar to the hunger bar, thirst bar. It adds extra elements of survival to the game. So we're going to do the check marks as we read that, which will get us our first empty leather canteen. This can be used with a water pool to get some water, which allows us to drink. So the problem is that since we're drinking just regular water and not anything that's been purified, we get the thirst debuff, which will actually make us lose thirst quicker, which is much like when we have hunger on our hunger bar, where we eat food, but then we end up losing more food in the process because it's not the best food, like if we eat zombie flesh or things like that. So the only food source I have at the moment is to come down here. I'm going to just break off a bunch of kelp real quick, let it come up to the surface. And then we're going to take this kelp and we're going to dry it. Oh, no, we got hit by a jellyfish. This may be a real problem. Okay. Oh, it was actually an ocean creeper that got us, which is, I think, one of the types of the jellyfish. Okay, so let's grab our stuff, and we're going to try to get this food and get back to our furnace. We also have night coming in, and I do not know in this pack how many days we have before we have problems with phantoms. It could be the first night. It could be 3 nights like it normally is. I am not sure. So I want to get a space set up so that we can handle whatever comes. And I need to get some food cooked up as well. So let's get up here. We're going to drop off our kelp into here so that we at least have something that we can eat until we have some other food sources. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to craft another pick. I put the stone away. And we're going to make an area underneath here. Oh, I didn't think about it. When you make torches, it's very important you don't keep them on you if you're going to be getting into the water. You see how these torches are now unlit? That's not going to do us any good. So we're going to put a couple torches up here. I definitely want one up here to keep the crops going. And we're going to try to get at least a little bit of light around. And then we're going to grab a few more pieces of coal so that we can make a couple more torches. And I'm going to use this pick. We're going to make a underground into the inside of this island so that we can just have a little tiny space that will be protected in case we have to have somewhere to retreat when we have phantoms or other mobs coming at night. So we're just going to dig out a little bit of area here. Nothing too crazy, but at least something to protect ourselves in the outside. Oh, we got some iron there. That's excellent. It's a really lucky find, actually. Iron is very rare early on here. So we'll grab that. Okay, so now we at least have a little bit of room here where we can be safe from any incoming danger. I'm going to put a torch in here, but keep in mind, torches will burn out and they will need to be replaced over course of time. So I'm going to continue to work through the night here trying to get us some more seeds, because the more seeds I get planted, the more food we'll have growing and the more string we'll be getting. But we have to be on alert for danger that might be coming through in the form of mobs spawning. So we've almost made it through our first night. It's still pretty dark, but we have used up all the food that we had from that kelp. I don't want to continue to burn through tons and tons of it to continue processing our seeds. We do have some growing. We have some, we've made some progress, but not a lot. We have our first flax that we can process, which gives us 2 string. We have a lot more to go. So it's time that we start our first create machine, which is going to be very simple, setting up a water wheel. So a water wheel is a shaft surrounded by 8 planks. We're going to take a shaft. I'm actually going to need some of my wood back so that we can make 8 planks. And there we go. We have that. And then we're going to need to make another cogwheel, because now we're going to want to have the ability to connect up to this using rotational power from the water wheel. That also means that we need to make a gearbox. A gearbox is essentially something a andesite casing with 4 cogwheels inside of it, meaning that we can change the direction of our rotation very easily. So in order to get this, we're going to need some more wood with some andesite alloy and some more cogwheels, which means we need more wood for sure. Unfortunately, we don't have any more wood over here. I do have the birch tree over here that I have not harvested yet. Let's grab that. We are going to need to make an andesite casing, so actually we can do that before we cut it down. It'll save us a step. We just strip the bark and then cut down the rest of the tree. There we go. We're going to have to remember to come back here to grab sapling in just a moment. But for now, let's take this down here. I did make a simple bridge for us to get across, but I don't want anything too complicated just yet until we get a little more settled in. Let's grab a few more planks. We need to make 4 cogwheels, and then the 4 cogwheels get placed around andesite casing. And in our case, we're going to want to have a gearbox that is vertical. So that gearbox is going to go onto here. We'll be able to connect our water wheel to the edge of it. Now, to get the water wheel working, we need to get water flowing on it. So I used 3 pieces of iron that we found in our little room down here and made a bucket. We're going to grab some water from our pool of water here. And then we're going to just basically put some cobblestone around this water wheel for the time being so that we can do some work with the, let's put it on this side. We do some work with the water without having it flow everywhere. So I'm just going to make a little space here for the water to go. And break this block. And then we'll put blocks here and here. And we'll put one back. I think that if we put water here, it should get our wheel flowing. And now our millstone is moving, albeit slowly. So anything we put in there will get processed. So we're going to drop our seagrass in, and we're going to let it continue to process, now using the power of water. So that's our first fully automated create machine. We can actually take the hand crank off now, because now basically this millstone will always be spinning because of that flowing water, and we can just drop things in there and come along and grab our resources that we get from it. So now we play the waiting game of getting more seeds and getting the crops to grow and processing things in to get us even more so we can expand. I'm going to take that time. Now that I have a bucket, I can move our water, which means we can set up some more crop spaces. I'm probably going to just utilize this entire island, make some paths that go down, have some different levels with crops. The issue is lighting, of course, because we still do not have renewable torches as of yet. But we can start to get there and get some lighting that we at least is temporarily going to be able to allow us to do some extra crop growing, and at the very least we'll be able to do it during the day, even if our torches aren't getting it lit up that long at nighttime. A couple more nights, a couple more rounds of planting crops and grinding crops, and I also did some construction, and now we have made enough string that we can get a bed going. So let's do that first so that we can pass it on to the day. I think we did it just in time. One more night, and I think we would have had our phantom spawning, which would not have been great. I just realized that remember when I said I need to go back over there to grab those birch saplings? I didn't do that. Good thing there's more birch up on the hill. When we get up there, we'll be able to get more going. I'm going to put, for now, we'll just put the bed down here on this platform so that I can sleep the day off. And then I will show you around what we've got going on here. I've just been slowly creating a couple of fields. So over here I have our flax field, and we have quite a bit of it growing. We have some torches. I put a ring around the top thinking that maybe that would keep the rain at least off the torches. I don't know if that'll keep them from burning out faster, but so far pretty much I just have to replace them every day, which is not a problem. I need to get some a tree farm set up so I can start getting some more wood. But then I'm making like paths down so that we can have different levels. I'm planning on putting another field out, or another section of dirt out here so I can make a tree farm. That'll be the next thing that we build. So we're just digging down to use the resources we have from this starter island. So our main goal is to have 3 basic needs covered. So the string was to get our bed going, and now we want more of it. So just because we have the flax, we can keep it growing. The wheat over here that we're slowly adding to as these up here mature, and when I break them up here, I just replant the seeds down in the lower field. And the wheat itself, I will show you how we process that into food in just a moment. Let me replant these. This is actually the sail from our boat down there. I just built it right into it. Thought that was kind of cool that it lined up. Just made me laugh. So when we have the wheat, we can throw it in here just like we do with the flax. And when it processes, that's the string from when we processed the last batch of that, we get wheat flour. So I'm going to let this process both of these. You can see in the top what we have, and then you just right click with a mouse with your open hand, and that gets you the wheat flour. So what we do is we take a bucket of water and a wheat flour and we combine it to make dough. And we can do that again with this other wheat flour. And then all we have to do is take that dough and throw it into a furnace, and that will provide us with some bread. And that's our current food source. Not the best food source in the world, but it works. Does the job. Other thing we've been doing is anytime I get this moss blocks, I've just been converting them into bone meal to help accelerate some of our crop growing. It's not a lot, but we have some. I could automate the moss to create a bone meal farm, and I probably will at some point. But for right now, we're just worrying about getting these seeds growing as much as we possibly can so that we can expand our wheat field down here so we can get some more food going. Like I said, I'm going to finish digging this out under here and moving everything down. I'm going to put another field like similar to this one that goes out over the water this way that will have our trees, and I'm trying to make it so that there's like a spiral pathway that gets us from top to bottom. And then I'm going to start moving some of these things into a more permanent home once we have that done. So just going to keep on digging while we grow some more stuff and get closer to our goal of sustainability. All right. Today we took on our very first tasks of getting this island set up. I managed to dig out the rest of this starter island, and I used it to make a few different platforms. So I have my flax farm up here. I have my wheat farm down here. I put a couple of spaces to plant trees, and it's kind of crazy how tall these trees get when you plant them in big blocks like this. The trees compete for space and they push out farther and farther. That's a lot of tree. But we have them ready to be harvested. We also did a lot of harvesting while we were digging and building. So now I have some miscellaneous stuff here. I have some wood stored up, a decent amount. Over here I have some dirt and some cobblestone that we got from it. I moved our millstone over to this section so that we could just have a place for it. And the water that is powering the wheel, I just have it going down in a waterfall off into the water below. And then down here we have access to where the water is. I left the ship still over there that we're going to eventually need to repair to make our way out of here, and some ores that we couldn't quite mine. So we have those to take care of later, and then we just have a branch to get over here. There's a villager up there that's just looking at me kind of funny. But we have everything set up for the basic survival. We have access to wood, we have access to food, water, and our string crops here. And that is going to keep us going for the very early on here. The next task that we have in our next episode is getting some basics of automation going. And so for automation, we need to come up with a way to get a renewable source of iron, and for andesite, so that we can make andesite alloy. We have a lot that we can harvest, which is where we'll start, and then we'll work on setting up some systems for that. And that'll take us into being completely renewable, because we'll be able to make systems to automatically make more torches. We'll do things to automatically make all the things that we need so that we can progress into the pack a little bit deeper. We have the quest book to follow us as we go through, but mostly we're just going to be building more and more create machines as we go. I also want to get up onto the island and do some exploration and find what mysteries it has for us. But for now, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.